Hey, Katie. Oh my God. Are we really doing this?
We are. Welcome to Higher Downloads, where two moms, entrepreneurs, and spiritual seekers are getting real about doing our best to live life in alignment.
Yeah, and by getting real, we mean the raw, unfiltered voice memo version of ourselves.
And you know what we're really obsessed with lately: higher
hmm
downloads.
You know that moment when clarity arrives seemingly from nowhere? That's it. That's the higher download from your highest self.
Exactly, because we know everyone has the ability to access their own higher downloads. So nothing is off limits here. Everything in the wheel of life, from career, spirituality, motherhood, relationships.
Yep, everything. And really through the lens of higher consciousness and joy. And we have to share our higher downloads too, right? So grab your coffee
Or your crystals, or whatever you need to have fun with us.
and get ready to tune in to your own wisdom channel because receiving higher downloads means you can live your life in HD.
Higher Downloads starts now. Welcome back to Higher Downloads.
Welcome back, friends. We are so excited. I'm extra excited about this episode because this episode is about subtracting, not adding.
Oh, math? Are we talking about math?
Ew, no. No, we're talking about, so a couple episodes ago, you know how we did several spiritual buffet and we were telling about all the things you could pile on your plate and add to your
More and more
spiritual.
and more.
And we talked about like filling your bingo card and like all the things you could like add to your day or your healing journey or spiritual awakening. Remember that?
I remember.
So this one's in opposition, but in a beautiful way because yes, those things are true. And subtracting are taking things off that are no longer serving you or shedding things, aka shedding patterns that are running our lives that are no longer serving us, can be and is just as powerful. You know what I'm talking about?
I know it very well. Yes, indeed. Patterns and allowing, right? A letting things go to allow what you're trying to accomplish, what you're doing. So I love it. Subtracting, taking away things that aren't serving us.
Yeah, and I think if you listen to the episodes in sequential order, you may recall that we were just talking about how our natural soul's state is joy and love and happiness. But when we're feeling things that are the opposite of that, frustration, pain, worry, anger, that's an indication that, like, we're not in alignment. What's going on? And what I've noticed, and like, things are hard for a lot of people. My dentist was like just feeling people's jaws and saying that people are clenching their way through life. And just the recognition that, like, that's no way to live.
Absolutely. And you see the people that get in those patterns and stay in those patterns, and they become, the kind of crotchety, lonely old person, right? That's like lives alone, has no friends, and like, wow, that's not how I want my ending to be.
No, and the like phrase misery loves company, you're like, yeah, law of attraction. You if that's what you if that's what you want to attract, yeah.
Absolutely. Okay, so what are like patterns? What are the patterns? How do you become aware of the patterns? Like what do you mean by that?
Okay, great question because I didn't even know about patterns. And so I'm hoping that this episode, there's maybe some people who've been doing their work for a long time and they're like, oh yeah, easy, cake. But for others, like, what does that mean? So for me, I didn't even know that it was a pattern that was conditioned in me. At first, for a while, I thought it was my personality.
Just the way you are,
Just the
huh?
way that I am. The way that I am naturally needs to control every outcome, be a perfectionist, and people please and fawn over them so that they don't get upset with me and I stay safe. I thought that that was part of my personality.
Yeah, and it's just like how it works, right? Like you get these funny stories about this is just how the world works.
Yeah.
And this is how I am in the world.
Yeah. And, it kind of reminds me when I'm doing leadership work out in organizations, it's like an if then statement. So, if the boss is upset with me, then I fawn over whatever. If I think I might lose my job, then I do this. Or if I think that blah, blah, blah. And so that can be an indicator that you might have a pattern at play.
Oof, good point. Predicting outcomes. When I think about the patterns, all these stories in my therapy terms is cognitive distortions, predicting the future, right? It's mechanisms to protect yourself, control the future in some way, shape, or form. Or mind reading is another cognitive distortion. Patterns, I feel like play. If you have cognitive distortions, you have patterns. If you have patterns, you have cognitive distortions.
And, I've done NLP, neuro linguistics, practitioner stuff. And so, yeah, this, the work, the patterns there's all kinds of things. And Brene Brown, I love Brene Brown. She talks about the stories you tell yourself. So these are things that are out there in other areas for sure. But it's something I'm really excited to share because in my work, meaning in my internal spiritual awakening, healing, leveling up me, Katie work, and in my actual paid work out in the world as a transformation coach working with organizations and individuals who want to be their best and brightest in transformation and change, I can't get away from the work
So
because the
true.
patterns are so real.
It's so true. I literally, after you kind of threw out this whole pattern thing, literally the next week in my team meeting, I think I voice memoed you and was like, I saw the pattern that I hadn't seen before. It's so obvious. I'm right here and I'm going to use this tool to help with my team member who's struggling with their pattern, right? It's like once you see it, you start to see it, and then the cool thing is then you can change it.
You can change it. And I think, that speaks to all kinds of other things. You can change it. We are creative source energy, growth mindset, neuroplasticity. You can choose a different reality. I have this plaque in my office. I'll have to pull it up. It's like another world is possible. And I think that's the thing. It's like another way of being is possible. And what was modeled for me as a child and growing up is a lot of scarcity mindset, a lot of victim mentality, a lot of the things are happening to me. And instead of I can do something about it, where's my agency? And what's so fascinating about that in organizations, especially right now with super fast changes in time with technology, AI, things are moving so fast. We can't rely on an old playbook, if you will, of leadership. And so, but what I'm noticing is companies are hiring me to go in and give all these tools. And Katie, I feel like those old Apple commercials, I have an app for that. Like we have an app for that. I'm like, I have a tool for that. Like I have a tool for everything. I have a framework, a tool, an idea, a workshop, and I like a exercise to teach all kinds of things. I just love that. Like that's part of my blueprint is to be an educator, but none of the tools. Here's an example. Feedback. Do you think people really like to give feedback or receive it?
Well, I think they say they like it and want it sometimes, and it's really hard to give and do, and it doesn't happen a lot. That's my experience.
Yeah, and it's also really hard to receive if it's constructive. you know? So same thing. So example, been out in the workforce, like doing this work and working with a man who hired me to do a conflict resolution workshop for his team because he was like, oh, everybody's like, they're avoiding conflict or when there is conflict, then they go really hard at each other and we don't have it in a productive way. Can you come and do it? I'm like, yep, I have a workshop for that. So, I can go and do these things. But what I started to notice as we were preparing for the workshop and I was asking him about his leadership and how he was managing and certain questions, it became so painfully clear to me that he didn't feel safe with feedback, giving and receiving feedback. Well, part of conflict is that you see it as a gift and you see it as feedback. And so, if someone's physical nervous system and body doesn't feel safe giving and receiving feedback, then no amount of conflict resolution workshop, no matter how fun and exciting and cool I am, is going to actually change the culture.
Hmm. Yeah, because he's got to be able to go take it and do that when you're not there.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so what came to me, so I'm a trained qualitative researcher for my PhD, and I was like, okay, I can't unsee the pattern of patterns.
Yeah.
And
So meta. I love that.
it's so meta. I wish I could say it another way, but it's so true. And it's my lived experience. And I think you have, you know what, through our friendship and through our voice memos and things like you've shared as well. Like it's a lived experience, especially when you get into your 30s and 40s and you have more life experience. You're like, oh, interesting.
Yeah, yeah. You need the life repetitions to show you, oh, that's the thing I come back to every time. And it's not serving me
It's
to
not
keep,
serving me.
for me it's avoiding, right? It's like the the don't cry, don't feel your emotions, like emotions aren't safe, turns into a belief of trying to run from emotions, which turns into avoidance of like, yeah, this is a hard conversation. I don't feel comfortable, so I'm just going to avoid that. Or I'm going to avoid something that feels scary or risky. And it's like, that's actually, you can't do that. You can't run from everything.
No, no. You'll be like Forrest Gump. Yeah, and so I grew up where emotional volatility was the normal and a lot was conditional. Everything was conditional and everything depended on the mood of an adult in my household. And so I learned to adapt, to shrink, to perform, to be perfect, and to, when I say adapt, I mean like read the energy of that mood and emotion and see what I could do, what I could control or try to change so that I could stay safe and the house could be in harmony as much as possible. And that's hard to say. It's hard to say to you right now, even though I've shared this with you as my friend, knowing this is going to be live on airwaves for anyone to hear. Like, that's really still hard to say. And yet, that pattern started to show up in my adult life and in ways that were not serving the badass, strong, smart, capable, fully expressed, fun leader and human I know I am. I had little triggers, little activations that would just activate those moments. And when I could see it, when I understood what was happening and that wasn't actually my personality, that's when I could change things. Because my other go to phrase, you cannot change what you're not aware of.
That is so true. That is so, so true. And a lot of times you can't become self aware. A lot of times it takes somebody seeing you from the outside, maybe making a comment, and then you go, huh, is that how you see this? Interesting. And then you can see where they're getting that from. That's the feedback loop.
So I had, thank you, because that's true. And I had a feedback loop. I had a time in my career where everything was great, like loved working at this organization. The boss, the leader who hired me left. We had a great rapport. I got promoted, was doing well, really well. And I got assigned a new boss. I was going to say leader, but I wouldn't call him a leader. Uh, and um, and he was really abusive. And it started out like most abuse, like small, and then it started to escalate. And I received feedback from a trusted team member of like, Katie, why are you shrinking? You know that decision he's making is going to hurt not only our employees, but it's going to hurt our company. It's going to hurt customer relationships. Like there's a whole domino effect. And you are in a position to speak up. What's going on with you?
Mm,
So thankful for the mirror, thankful for that.
yeah. And
And it
obviously, like seeing you out of alignment with your normal self, right? It's like, yeah, you got to have that. If somebody just sees you in a one-off situation, they might not know, they can't see the comparison of like how you typically would be, right?
yeah, and it wasn't just from that trusted team member. It was also at home. My husband noticed a difference. I was frustrated, volatile, not sleeping, not eating well, disassociating. Like it bled into everything. And that's how I know that when we're out of alignment and we're operating from an unconscious pattern that's not serving us, people are leaking energy and I hate to say it this way because I don't want it to feel like I'm piling on, but in some ways it reminds me that we add to our own suffering by staying in those patterns.
Absolutely. Well, when you said it was hard to say, what came to me was like, I bet it was hard to live. Like saying it now is one thing, but like living that is a whole different thing.
It was, and maybe that's the why it's hard to acknowledge. It's like, ooh, that was a unpleasant time in history. Yeah, and but thankfully, right, contrast teaches. And so I was like, wait, I why am I shrinking and doing these things and not speaking up and what is going on? And I'm a big proponent of therapy, and I was able to have a great therapist to talk through it with. A lot of these patterns happen in childhood, but they can also happen, we can get conditioned in the workplace. People, start working at 15 or 16 years old, and, maybe you think like we can get patterned anywhere. And then some people maybe had great childhoods growing up, but they were one of six children and maybe kind of toward the end. So then they believed that they had to fight for resources or they had to fight to have their voice heard, or it's any number of things. I want to be clear that it's not like that something bad has to happen or trauma. It's just we get conditioned through just life.
Absolutely. Yeah. And again, it could be productive patterns. They might give you some productivity, but then they might also become toxic in other ways. So, yeah, it's really just the recognizing the patterns and are the patterns serving you or not.
Bingo. And that's it. That's that fork in the road, right? So you said the word toxic, and I think that's it. It's if um if you're someone who really enjoys work and you're like enjoying the control of work and things are going and flowing and you're feeling fine, okay.
Great.
But what right, great. But what I've noticed is there's a lot of people are really applaud resiliency. And I take up issue with resilience because what I learned was I was like, oh, resilience, push through, harden up, get through, like bounce back. And I wore that as like this badge of honor. Like, I'm so resilient. Nothing's going to affect me, as if I like had fire retardant clothing. And I'm like, I will walk through fire and nothing will affect me. But it was affecting me. And I was disassociating and leaking energy and not being present for my family and like not speaking up for my team and not being in my power. It was affecting me. And so I've come to call that toxic resilience, that like staying stuck and pushing through and repeating the same thing but not getting the results you want.
Absolutely. I think it's really the hardest place to be to recognize this when you're successful.
Say more. Please say
When
more.
when you're down in the dumps, when you're in the ditch, when you're going through this life experience where you're fired or you lose your house or like whatever, that's easy. Like, okay, I'm gonna change. But when you're quote unquote successful, right? You're
Mm,
in a well-paid position, you're at a big company in management, and nothing horrible is going wrong, but it also feels not that great, right? Or it feels hard, or you're in conflict all the time. I feel like it's hard, but it's not the same as being like hit by the bus, right?
mm,
With the hard thing. And I feel like this kind of pattern is most important when you are successful.
mm. Yeah. There are a lot of rock bottom stories you'll hear people say. I was at the top of my career and then all of a sudden I'm in the hospital and the doctors can't figure out what's wrong with me. We ran all the tests and ultimately it was just stress. You hear these,
Yeah.
there's a very interesting kind of story arc around hitting rock bottom and realizing that people had cortisol overload or whatever it was. And our bodies, we've talked about this before, our bodies keep the score and they knock, they tap a little bit. And then like, if you don't listen, so what you're
Absolutely.
saying is like, sometimes we have
Yeah.
those bus hit moments.
Yeah, or like before that, right? Like you don't have to let it escalate to that point
Try
to
not
kind
to.
of have the wake up moment. Yeah, like the sudden heart attack or the anxiety attacks or panic attacks, right? It's like you can find these patterns earlier and like instead of kind of having the success but then like losing it, it's like having the success and like figuring out how to actually feel the success.
Mm, yes. Okay. That's a really critical one to be able to. disentangle that for people because there are patterns that serve us at certain points. And so, yeah, I think that's a really good one. So maybe I can just talk about in my work, if you don't mind, what happened was as I couldn't unsee the pattern. Also, by the way, I worked on mine. I worked on my beautiful cocktail mix of patterns of recovering perfectionist and control freak and people pleaser. Nice little cocktail in there. Where we all kind of have these blended patterns usually, but once I went through a framework for myself, I recognized it. Then I had to understand the neuroscience behind rewiring a pattern in the same way that people try to create other habits, like exercise or eating well. And then I could rebuild a life that I didn't have to rely on those patterns as a safety net. And so that three-step process has been what's served me and my life's blueprint, my human design in this world is to take what serves me and teach and use it to help ripple out into the world of how to help others. And so I'm super passionate about this.
I love it. I love it. Yeah, you recently posted, you know, I saw you on LinkedIn and Instagram posting about this new thing that you just came out with, right?
I did. And so I couldn't unsee it. It was my lived experience. I'm working with hundreds of Fortune 500 leaders. So I did all the hard work of like qualitative design. I did several interviews of high level leaders. And also, I also interviewed parents, high level leaders, parents like who are under a lot of the stress, of li this corporate career and raising children and these things. And what I found is that there's four archetypes. There's the builder, the person who can't stop saying yes, always busy, guilty when resting. There's the climber, the person that never feels enough, is just chasing the next achievement. There's the navigator, the person that can't relax until everything's handled and in control, needs control. And the fourth is the diplomat. And the diplomat avoids conflict, says yes when they mean no, prioritizes other people's peace over theirs. Um, and these aren't flaws. These are intelligent adaptations that we picked up somewhere along the way of life. And your nervous system taught you that this keeps you safe. It's just what worked at 7 or 8 doesn't work at 37, 38, 48, 58,
Yeah.
in a lot of ways.
And it can get you from A to B, but like over time, it's not sustainable, is what I have found, because I resonate with several of these as well.
Are you willing to share?
So you have a quiz, which I adore, and it's very short and very easy, and I've taken it twice now.
Oh,
Both times it did come back as builder, which I
okay.
totally do resonate with like the essence of that. But when I think about a combo, I think about like in different parts of my life, I would say I was more of like the navigator
Mm,
slash climber of like microanalyzing everything, planning everything. If I just make sure I have a list of everything, I'll be okay. Like I think I've evolved, but like I would definitely say the builder. The only one I don't struggle with is the diplomat. I'm like, I'll tell you how I feel. I don't really care what you think. I'm not
Well,
people pleasing,
yeah,
really.
and that's what makes our friendship great because I've learned I've learned so much about not being a diplomat around you. Yeah, and so thank you for sharing. So I created a quiz because when I created the framework and the archetypes, I felt like a mad scientist, Katie. Like, we talk about flow and our natural state being like joy and flow and active, what's the word you always say? Aligned action.
Aligned action, yeah.
That's two words, but I was like a mad scientist on my whiteboard. I have this big whiteboard at home, and I'm like, like, okay, well, here's the pattern, and this is the person, and like, okay, doing it all and like creating the four archetypes, and I'm like, okay, how do I get this out into the world? Because, like I said, I get hired by companies to teach all kinds of frameworks, but then I'm like, no one's really talking about it like this, and it's not the like fun stuff because it's the under the surface stuff. It's like the, oh God, I'm not going to bring that into work. I actually had a boss when I first was so young, wet behind the ears, as the saying is in my 20s, and I literally had a boss who said, "There's no emotion in business." Talking about being patterned.
Yeah,
But of course, there's emotion in business because businesses are made up of humans and humans are made up of emotions.
that's right. Makes no sense.
We can hide them and bury them, which I think is where some of the problem happens.
Yeah,
But
it comes out anyway, just not so clearly.
yeah, so long story short, had these archetypes, and I was like, how can I bring this out? Almost all my work, by the way, is what people would say B to B, business to business, like my business to businesses, and companies hire me. I'll have a few select private individual clients, but for the most part, it's B to B, business to business. But I was like, this is something I feel so passionate about. I want it to be B to C, business to consumer, like just any person in the world. Like, how can I get this out to the masses? Like, I want to like fly over a plane and like like make it rain. Like, everybody, everybody alert. So I created a quiz that's 8 simple questions. It takes like 3 minutes to take. And the feedback, I now have about 100 people who've taken the quiz. The feedback I'm getting is like on point. Yep, 100% lands. Because my goal was to create the back end science behind it to help create a quiz that could help you land on what your primary archetype would be. And you're saying yours was builder.
Yeah, that's awesome. And it's really cool too that because you have such cool experience working with these big companies, right? Huge companies, like ones you
Yes.
know the name of. I'm not going to say any
Yes.
of them, but
You have used their products. You buy and use their things. Yeah.
absolutely. And you're in their boardrooms or in their private retreat meeting rooms, helping coach their problems and then seeing that their problems are human problems. And it's really not about it's like how to bring these into other people's everyday lives. And I love that you're working at such an elite level, but yet you're now, bringing so much of that to like us, to everyday people, to small business people, to like anybody who wants to listen, basically.
Yeah, and it feels so exciting because I'm on my like Paul Revere ride. I'm like, I can't unsee it now. Like, and yeah, I just have so much passion around it. And like I said, it's not the fun thing. This isn't the quiz that's like I one time I took like a what Michael Jackson song are you or what breed of dog are you? It's like, oh, what is the pattern that's no longer serving you? And it's like, looking in the mirror can feel a little uncomfortable, but it was important for me to so okay, so you take the quiz and then you get your results, and I have a results page with some information, and I want to share like this is why it probably happened, this is why it was serving you at some time, but it's no longer serving you now if you're feeling the pain, the energy leaks, you're feeling stuff in your body and that kind of thing, right? And I'm wrapping up my neuroscience coach certificate, and so I'm just super into the neuroscience part of it and the somatics and all the things that can, the little indicator lights that can tell us. But it was really important for me to write it from a place of compassion because nothing's wrong with you. You don't need to be fixed. And I didn't need to be fixed. I just needed to be freed from those patterns that go back to subtraction, back to shedding that I had taken on, like all these onion layers. I needed to be freed from them.
Mm, absolutely. Yeah, I do. I love the way it's framed and that yeah, it doesn't sound like here's your diagnosis for what's wrong with you. It's
Yeah.
really just like here's how you've been operating and here's some other ways to kind of move forward from here.
Yeah.
So
Thank you
what
for
do you do
reflecting
with
that.
it?
Say that again.
So what do you do with it? Like, okay, you know your pattern, then what?
Yeah, so on the results page, when you get your primary pattern result, you will get some information about probably why it was created. And then everyone receives my favorite way to start rewiring your pattern, which is I call the stop, drop, and goal. And I love that because as kids, you remember, right? If you were caught on fire,
Pop,
what were
drop,
you
and
supposed
roll, baby. Haven't used it yet, but I know it.
Right? I thought as a child, like I remember in second grade, the fire department, I'm sorry, came to school and we're all like singing like stop, drop, and roll. And I'm like, I was like ready to use it. And I mean, thank God I haven't, but but okay, so we're familiar with stop, drop, and roll if you're on fire, but here's the thing. Your nervous system is actually on fire. And inflammation and it doesn't feel good, right? And so stop, drop, and goal. So stop is like literally just stop. like, oh my God, it's happening and doing it right now, just stop, just to recognize it. You can't change something you're not aware of. So that's that awareness. Bing, now your brain's online. You're now wired up, lit up your prefrontal cortex of your brain. And then drop. Literally just like, okay, I was going to do this, or I was thinking that if I stop, everything will fall apart. That would be a builder's. Like, if I don't do it, everything's going to fall apart. Just drop that thought. Just drop it with compassion. No shame spiral. And then goal is if you want to roll, you can roll on the ground. But goal, but goal is like ask yourself, what do I really want? Would it be okay if I did less today? Does my body desire a nap? Does my body desire laughter from a TV show or a few chapter book reads because I just need to slow down? Does my body, do I really just need some time in nature? But the story I'm telling myself, the old pattern that's telling me that if I don't keep plugging on away on this spreadsheet for 8 more hours, then I'm not valuable. Does that, or help me understand? Because this makes so much sense to me. Are you following Stop, Drop, and Goal?
Yeah, absolutely. I do. I think it's the ask, because you say goal as in like ask what to change, right? So you're kind of saying stop, let it go, and then what's like is the opposite of it or
What's your
um
real goal?
yeah.
Yeah, great question. I'm so glad you said that. So, let me give a real example. So, this toxic, abusive boss that I was talking about, he was making some decisions that were truly going to affect and negatively impact my team, but also some clients and maybe cost us some work. And so, what I had to stop was I had to stop that I was feeling in my body this pain of this swirling and I had to drop the narrative that if I speak up, if I call him out, if I say no, that I'm going to be seen as disruptive, I'm going to be seen as rude, I'm going to be seen as not perfect, not playing the corporate game. And I had to drop that narrative because, that was like I had said earlier, like the perfectionist and the diplomat in me, like reading the moods of the adults in my life and then having to reorient around their needs. Okay, don't speak up because you'll upset them.
Mhm.
I had to drop that because that wasn't serving me. My real goal, back to your point, the real goal I had was to ensure the happiness and well-being of my team and absolutely protect the integrity of our work with our clients and not lose money. Like that was the real goal. So if that's my goal, then the only thing I have to choose from there is that fork in the road is I can stay toxically resilient and just like harden up and just keep doing the same patterns. But you know the definition of insanity, right?
Tell me.
You know. Definition of insanity is keep doing.
The same thing over and over again, expecting something different.
Exactly.
Yes.
And so I had to choose. My goal was to save the program, help my team, like, right? So then I couldn't stay small.
Yeah.
I couldn't just try to fawn and be like, "Oh, you're so smart, of course. Yeah, whatever you want, whatever you say."
Yeah. So I
So I just
wonder, yeah, because I'm like, okay, how does somebody recognize that they're doing their pattern? And it's like, and what just came to me is like, well, you're not, you know, your goal, you know, you want to be successful, like all the things you just said, right? And if you're doing something and it's in opposition to your goal, why, right? Like, yeah, like you're
uh,
not getting what you want.
you're not getting what you want. And we do it, humans just do it all the time because we're really interesting, complex beings. But there are three places where the little indicator light, I think about like a check engine light going on. It's first in your body. And unfortunately, we just explained that sometimes your body screams really loud, the panic attack, the heart attack, but let's not let it get there. Sometimes it's just stiffness
Hmm.
or it's tension in your chest or your jaw. Everybody holds it somewhere.
Stomach ache, like so many things. Yeah.
Loss of appetite is another one for some people.
Yeah.
hmm it's also in your behavior. It's like you're saying yes automatically when you know you don't have time, or there's all kinds of ways like in your behavior of like, oh, you're overworking and you're just like lying to yourself that it's dedication, that kind of thing. And then the third little indicator light is in your thoughts. And that's the like what Brene Brown, like the story you're telling yourself of like, well, if I don't do it, who will? I'll rest later. You've heard, Katie, you know, you've heard people in the toxic workplace say, I'll sleep when I'm dead.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah, my thing that I would always notice when my corporate days, it was when I was at home at night in the shower and I'm replaying conversations and saying things that I would want to say back. And I just remember I'd catch myself be like, you're spending your time focusing on like conversations that aren't going to happen and like stop it, stop it, stop it.
Yes, same, same. That's another indicator light. You know, we spend 8+ hours, people spend in traditional jobs in America, like 8+ hours of a day at work. They spend far less time with their family and friends. But then if you find yourself when you are with your family and friends or in the shower or at your child's soccer game or whatever, and you're spinning conversations from work and you're not present, that is a big check engine red indicator light that something's out of alignment at work or the persona, and it's probably maybe some unconscious pattern is a place to look. I'm not saying it's always a thing, but it's a place to look of because the what was in my thought was again like from a diplomat perspective, if I speak up, he'll be upset. Or if he sees this as only my needs instead of the team's needs, it'll hurt his leadership ego. Um, why can't I just let it go? Like self-shaming in some ways.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. I love it. Great. Stop, drop, and goal.
Stop, drop, and goal. And so you'll get that from me based on, you know, it's customized per archetype. And then there's an offer. It's just an invitation. I don't believe in hard sells. I believe in invitations and if it resonates. But I created a guide. I put a lot of time and energy and love into it. And there's beautiful designs in it. And it's about a 35-page guide that is an invitation to purchase at a low cost. I even lowered the cost even more because I just wanted it to get out to the masses, where it has all the archetypes because we're, you know, blends. It also, I've gotten some great feedback and testimonials from people who they know their pattern, but then when they could see it in their partner, or they could see it in their children, or they could see it in their teammates at work, oh, that's helpful. And then I have a side-by-side chart that shows them all and how it manifests, and the six most common blends, because most of us are blends, and then some somatic exercises and some journal prompts. It's beach
Wow.
entry. It's just beach entry, but
Yeah.
it's there's some good. I I think there's some goodness in there. You received the guide. What?
I know it's beautiful, it's fantastic, and I mean, I just know, I mean, I'm your friend, so I get to like experience this all the time with you. So I'm like, I know 100% anything you're offering is going to be worthwhile and is going to be amazing and valuable because it's cultivated from all the work, and I see all the inside scoop on how you're getting here. So I can say it's good.
Oh, thank you. That means a lot because you are not a diplomat, so you would not people please me and you would tell me the truth.
That is very true. I would just not say anything at all. That's what I would do. Avoid, avoid. No,
Oh,
just
okay. Oh,
kidding. Not
yeah.
anymore. I'm better now. I'm working on
It's a
it.
pattern you're working on. Yeah, because you had one of like, yeah, yeah, exactly. So the point is, and the bad news about all of this is that it's a practice. It's not just like a one-time thing. We catch ourselves. And the cool thing is, over time, you recognize your pattern so much faster in the space between the stimulus, the trigger, the activation, and then how you respond in alignment gets smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller with awareness and practice. So you really do rebuild around the real you. So that's where the shedding comes. That's where the subtraction comes. It's like taking off the layers.
That's right. Like the little pearl inside, right? Like it's
Oh,
formed and now just like let go of everything else. But you know, I think we talk a lot on here, Wheel of Life, right? And
yeah, yeah.
downloads, and we're talking really about inner world, spirituality, whatever. We talk about everything. But I think what's really cool is you work a lot with businesses, and we're both business owners and we're in business. And like, what is really cool for me about this is you're framing it a lot to leaders, right? And it's coming from a lot of patterns you see in leaders and parents at home. But this isn't about business. It is about getting to the core root of what's going on with you and how you're showing up in business. But is also, if you can get to that one inner world that is safe and is the healthy patterns that you're creating, and it's just your true core self, you can show up differently in business, at work, with your family, with your friends. Like, you can show up if you can let go of these patterns, because you might have different patterns at work than you have at home.
Yeah,
It's not
yeah, that's
really
true.
always like, yeah, it's very important in business, right? In corporate and teams and culture, because like that's where people just rub their patterns on each other all day.
They do.
That's like literally
They
what we do.
do.
We all just sign up to go together with this one shared goal and just like pattern all over each other.
We really do.
But if you do your work, other people will see that too. And then you can just show up how it's right for you. But that's going to bleed over into other parts of your life. So if you're not that worried about like, oh, I don't really relate to that. I don't really work in corporate, or I don't have meetings, or like it doesn't relate to me. We're talking about your boss. Like, that's cool. But that's not all this is. Like, this is
No.
really what's your way of operating. Apply it to anything that has to do with interacting with other people, really.
Yeah, it really it transcends business. It's just that I don't hear it talked about in that way, so I want to reframe it for my clients. But you're right, and thank you for that. It really is about just human interaction. And I had one testimonial from a vice president in financial services, but she said, "Oh my God, now I can't unsee it. My child and I, or teenager, and I are both navigators." And so we're both trying to control the outcome, and that's the patterns that are butting up against each other.
Wow, that's so
Mhm.
cool. I just had this, it just clicked in about at work, right? Because at work, it's kind of like what people call their chosen family, except not the family part where everyone signed up for one job and then we're all
Yeah,
thrown in a room, right? Like,
yeah.
we're even a business. Like, you hire people in, but everyone has different backgrounds, but everyone's made the agreement to show up together and try to work together. And so, like, at school, if you're in the same class with someone, like, you're just operating next to each other. You're not agreeing to try to work together, like in
Unless it's a group
partnership.
project.
Unless it's a group project, but like, yeah,
Yeah.
in marriage or partnership or friendship. But I often find people aren't quite as intentional. But like at work, you're trying to do big things and new things, and it's like a really cool melting pot for getting to see how to work with other people. That's very different than other places in your day-to-day life.
Bingo. And back to that leader who was conflict avoidant, what we dug deeper on is, and I'm not a therapist, I want to be very clear, I am not a licensed clinical therapist, but I do have an NLP certification and I am a transformation coach, and I understand there's a lot of overlap in the psychological world. But what we got down to was that he grew up in a family where things were just avoided, conflict was avoided. And so his like you said, chosen work family or whatever, his team, he's trying to keep that pattern in his team, but that's not his real goal. In fact, the reason why he wanted the conflict resolution workshop, Katie, is because he noticed that innovation had plummeted and no one was willing to try new things. And he felt like no one was willing to try new things because they were scared that someone was going to shoot down their idea and they were going to be conflict. So it was like you really get down to the root cause, right? Well, then you can't have innovation and the opportunity to try something new if you don't have the opportunity to fail or give feedback. And then, oh
Yeah,
gosh, if that's your goal to get feedback, then like, oh, you have to, sometimes it's going to be constructive or painful or negative. And
absolutely.
then, that's okay. So my pattern's not serving me.
Yep. And as the leader, you have to set the example, because people are only gonna, some people will show up even if the leader doesn't show up, but most people need the leader to set the tone. And
Correct.
so if you can't do it, then the people beneath you, working for you or with you or whatever, like, they might not show up as their full selves. That's
Mhm.
so cool. It really is so useful.
Yeah,
And
and as moms, we're leaders in our families. We have to set the tone.
absolutely, that's true.
But hey, the best part is this is not selfish work. And this was important for me to get through, because when you do your inner pattern work, when that leader did his inner pattern, when you, Katie, when you recognized yours, when I recognized mine, it's like you change the frequency you put out into the world. You change how you show up. You offer others permission to step into their power. And so, I love water, and it's like I can't unsee the ripple effect. I can't unsee the community goodness, the world changing work that this ultimately is. And that's what gets me so excited. That's why I'm
Yay!
really, really excited to put this out into the world. So thank you for,
I'm so excited for you. You've been working so hard on this, finding the right team, doing it the right way, though. Like I love to see that too, seeing the inner world of how you've gone about creating this, and to now see it out in the world. It's incredible, and I love to see everybody, responding and getting so much out of it. I know the ripple effect's going to be huge.
thank you. We'll put the link to the quiz in the show notes for people who might be interested. And thank you for talking about patterns with me today.
Yay, patterns, so fun, and so many downloads to come from paying attention to patterns and learning more about yourself and the world. So it's really important work.
Yeah,
You're
we're not,
doing it. You're doing important work.
yeah, we all are. So we're not fixing ourselves. We're freeing ourselves. We're updating our like iOS operating system.
Stop dropping goal, baby.
Stop, drop, and goal. Until next time.
Till next time, higher downloads. Hope you have some. You just experienced another higher download. We are so grateful you joined us on this journey.
Yep. So if you're feeling that high vibe energy and want more, subscribe wherever you get your podcast so you never miss an episode.
And if this episode sparks something in you, we'd be over the moon if you'd share it with someone who might need this download too.
Yep. Connect with us on Instagram at Higher Downloads, where we share more behind the scenes magic and some bonus content.
You can also find full episodes, transcripts, show notes, and resources at higherdownloads.com.
Until next time, trust your downloads and keep vibrating higher.